Crystal from Essentially Tarot. Welcome back to my channel for Oracle Deck Collection Part 2. So let's go ahead and jump right in. If you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, like this video, all that good stuff so you can see when I post new videos. I usually post about twice a week is how it's worked out. Usually Monday, Tuesday, or Monday, Wednesday. But let's jump in. So the first deck we're going to talk about today is a Colette Baron Reid deck. This is the Crystal Spirits Oracle. Comes in a nice little, I like these kind of like unfoldy magnetic boxes. I think they're really cool. I think they're really beautiful. Let me grab those. Here is your little white book. It's super chunky. Each card, you get a picture of the card. You get the essential meaning of the card. Then you get this little write-up that's kind of like a general message. It's not really titled as anything. You get a relationship message and you get a prosperity message. And then you also get a meditation at the end. So it kind of gives you some metaphysical properties of the crystal itself for you to meditate on, or meditate with, if you will. These are the card backs. They are very subtle. It's not really picking that up well on camera. But they're pretty. Now the cards themselves are beautiful. They are crystals. And you can see each one of them does have kind of like the wisdom of the oracle, where you can find the oracle in each card. These are very similar in that respect. Now, the problem that I have with this deck, at least for me personally, is there are 58 of these cards. There are 58 crystals in this deck. And me personally, I don't know the metaphysical properties of all 58 of these crystals well enough to read this deck without the guidebook. It's kind of the same problem that I have with the Crystal Tarot, is that I'm not familiar with each of the crystals and I'm missing out on the message in the Crystal Tarot. Well, I'm certainly missing out on the message here because it's literally just the name of the crystal. So for me personally, I don't pull this out for others. I pull it out just for myself. I think it's a great way to not only get a message, but to familiarize yourself with different crystals, with what their metaphysical properties might be, with what they look like. And they're just really beautiful. But as far as pulling them out for others, I don't think I would do that. You know, unless maybe they requested them specifically and they wanted, like, hey, I'd like a reading and I'd like maybe to know what crystal I should carry with me at this time, or something to something to that effect. I think would be the only time I'd really pull this out for anybody else right now anyway. You know, in the future, if I find that I start, you know, being able to make connections to, okay, here's this crystal, this is the message for that, then fine. But it's a lot when you're just getting a crystal name and you have to kind of fill in the blanks there. I'm not that good at it as far as crystals go. So there's that deck. The next deck is actually two decks, and it was kind of a fluke. I'm gonna pull this one out of its little bag. Sorry, guys. And this is the Child's Dream deck, or A Child's Dream deck, a tool for adults to talk to children, by Glenn and Mindy Summers. And oh my goodness, the Dreaming Color Lumen deck, also by Mindy Summers. Now, what happened here was, I had purchased these, well, I had purchased this used from someone online. And when it came, it was actually this deck. And I had reached out to her and was like, hey, I got my deck today and it's absolutely beautiful, but it's not the deck I bought from you. And she was like, oh my gosh, I must have sent you the wrong one. You know, please just keep it and I will send the correct one to you as well, which I thought was very, very nice of her. And I'm very glad that it happened that way. Again, I kind of said to myself, like, well, maybe this deck was meant to live here. But I'm going to show you why I'm happy it worked out that way. Let's open this one first, the Dreaming Color. Here's your little white book, and it does give you the word on the card and a little write-up for each word. But these are, you know, not that crazy as far as determining what they mean. So each card has kind of like this abstract, beautiful picture on it, and then a keyword. So this is exploration. and envy, family, fear. So you can see they're nice and balanced. Forgiveness, avarice, guilt. So there are some darker feelings and emotions in this deck, which I think is really, really nice. Withdrawal, because a lot of times you get decks that are just overly positive. Everything's love, everything's happy, everything's, you know, this kind of deals with some of those dark, hate is literally a card in here. It deals with some of those darker emotions. And honestly, as of right now, I use this sometimes as a clarification deck as far as, you know, what the emotional impact of a situation might be, or what the emotional motivation of a situation might be. But I mean, I feel like these are created in such a way that you can kind of use these in a variety of ways. Like, even if you wanted to kind of go through and be like, okay, you know what aspect of myself do I need to work on today? Maybe, you know, you're looking to see if you need to work on some shadow work, and manipulation comes up, and so you base your shadow work around manipulation, and you know what part you think manipulation plays in your own life, how you manipulate others, how you've been manipulated by others. So it's just an interesting deck all around. These are the backs. Now let me show you what's going on here. So this is the Child's Dream deck, and this is supposed to be you know, a deck that you can use to it says to talk to children, but it's a good way to talk to children about their emotions. Here are the backs. You can see they are different. The cardstock on this deck is not bad. It's not the best cardstock, but it's not bad. The cardstock on this deck, however, I don't know if it's because it's meant for children to touch and feel, and I don't know. It almost just feels like paper. Like, it's so, like, there's like absolute all the give. It's just kind of like paper. It's like, this is the whole deck that I'm bending. It's not great. And maybe these look a little familiar because we just went through that other deck, but they are literally carbon copies of the adult deck. Just the words, the keywords have been removed, and there are numbers. So while I understand the purpose, you know, when you're talking about, this was the hate card. Obviously it doesn't say hate, it just says 11. I guess if you are looking to have a child kind of explore their emotions in a way where you want to do it kind of subconsciously, I suppose. You could say like, hey, I want you to go through this deck and I want you to look at these pictures, and you know, which one looks like how you're feeling right now. I suppose you could do that. I don't know. I have mixed emotions about that though, because at the same time it's like, well, you know, what's the difference between this one and this one? This one's just kind of purple, this one's kind of pink. You know, what do these mean without looking them up in the book? I don't know. So I don't know how reliable that is for discussing emotions. But I think, you know, if you were to say like, hey, look at this card, you know, what does this make you feel? Let's talk about like what comes up. Let's use this as a jumping off point. Like, if you were to jump into this picture, how do you feel? I feel like that could be an interesting way to open up, you know, a deeper conversation about emotions with children. And there is kind of a user guide that kind of walks you through it. And it does, you know, there's things like, tell me which card you are today. Why do you like this card? Which card would you rather be today? Why? But again, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like some of them, you know, they just, one's pink, one's purple. Am I pink today? Am I purple today? I don't know. But I guess it's less about that, and it's more about maybe having them open up about, you know, what the purple card makes them feel versus the pink card. But, so yeah, I'm not mad that I have it. I will use it with my own children. I have used it with my own children. And I think it's nice to have for other people's children, especially if they are going through a time where, you know, maybe they do have some emotions that they don't know how to talk about. It's good to have on hand. But this one is really, I feel like, the meat and potatoes. I feel like this one is really accessible and really multifunctional. So there are those. Next up, let's talk about my favorite girl, Nicoletta Chicoli, or woman. This is the Chicoli Oracle, because I love my Chicoli Tarot so much that I needed the Oracle as well. Here is your little white book. It's nice and glossy. It's got glossy pages. It is in multiple languages, so the pages that are in English, you have 30 pages in English. And each card just gives you like a little write-up, and then there's a light message and a dark message, so you can read reversals or read them in dark or light, whatever, you know what I mean. Here's the backings. They're beautiful. And these cards, right away we get one that's kind of weird. Sometimes I feel like I struggle with her artwork, because like this image here, we have this woman, or she looks like a little girl, and I think that's where the problem is. And she's breastfeeding this little rabbit type creature. And I think it's just unusual because she looks like a little girl, but obviously that is a very mature adult time. Oh, both of the weird cards are right on top. And again, we have Pinocchio here, you know, going into this girl's dress. And again, I don't know if it's just because they look like little girls, but maybe they're supposed to be grown women. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but those two cards in particular are always like, these are strange to me. As you can see, oh, this is another fun thing. I did this. I pulled these out. This deck is really difficult without the guidebook because you don't have keywords, and you have all these tower-looking cards, and it's kind of a question of, well, how do I differentiate which card is which, right? So it is a little difficult. You can, of course, read them intuitively if you wanted to. The guidebook works really well. I do enjoy the guidebook. And 9 times out of 10, once I look at the guidebook, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like this card, I know off the top of my head, the keyword is patronage. And it has a very interesting way of saying, like, you know, are you the patron? Are you the one receiving patronage from someone else? And, you know, how much is too much in order to receive from others? You know, I don't know. It's deep. It's good. But again, if you're not, I don't know. It's just, there's no keywords. So if you're not somebody who wants to read intuitively and you want kind of the message from the book, you want that keyword from the book to go off of, you don't have that here. That was a lot just about keywords. But the artwork is really beautiful. Again, I feel like if you wanted to, you could read it intuitively. You don't need to use the book. But if you are somebody who likes to use, like this is the card for karma, which is interesting now that you know that, right? To look at it and be like, oh, she's trying to avoid the karma by, you know, keeping her back to the window, but how do you ignore this giant bunny in the room or in the window? But yeah, once you kind of know the card meanings, it's a little easier, but you know, for those who like a keyword or a key phrase, this deck is not giving them to you. So there is that, but it is beautiful. So that is the Chicoli Oracle. Again, a little difficult if you need a key phrase or a keyword, but worth looking into. Again, the book is great. The book will give you all that, but I understand why it's not for everyone. Not everyone likes to kind of search for a meaning, you know? You know. Okay, next up is actually a fairly new deck for me. I have not worked with it yet at all, but I'm still going to show it to you guys. It's the Sacred Self-Care Oracle by Jill Pyle. And this just came in, oh, I can't get the box open. Maybe a couple weeks ago. Look how beautiful the inside of that box is. And I really, really, really like the concept of this deck. I've gone through it several times because I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And this is a deck where the little white book is great. There's a mantra, there is a write-up, and there's also a journaling prompt because it is self-care related. But this is the type of deck where you can utilize the little white book as much as you want or as little as you want, because these are all basically prompts for self-care. So abundance planning, alone time, they're still in order, aromatherapy. I think it's a really nice deck to pull out, especially for someone who is maybe going through a really rough patch and needs to take care of themselves a little bit, and needs that, look how beautiful, connect with your womb. stop. It is obviously very female-centric, which could be a problem. You're obviously not going to pull this out for someone who doesn't identify with that female energy. Obviously, they're not going to be able to connect with their womb if that's not something that appeals or applies to them. So that's problematic in a way. But I think, you know, obviously if you're reading for someone who is into the more feminine, the more female energy, this is a really great deck to just pull a card and say, okay, you know what do you need to do right now to care for yourself? What is it that you need? And we have like massage, we have meditate, movement, music, pleasure, which I love this card. How empowering is that? This could have been any, they could have put anything on this card to represent pleasure. But it's all about yourself. It's not, you know, it's not about having to bring in someone else, which I think is cool. So yeah, I think it's really beautiful. Again, it's a little naughty. But I don't know, I think it's great. And I think it's going to be really fun to utilize this. Again, especially even for myself, just when I feel like I need to kind of take some extra care of myself, and just to pull one and say, okay, you know what do we got? What do I need to do? What's the journal prompt? Have at it. So that is the Sacred Self-Care Oracle by Jill Pyle. And the illustrations are by Tatiana Vedenkina. I might be saying that wrong. I apologize, guys. So there is that. Now this next deck, I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I made a mess of this deck. But here's the Moonology Oracle cards. You're about to see what I mean. Here's the inside of the box. How cute. Let the moon be your guide. These are, a lot of these are Hay House productions, by the way. At least this one and the Jill Pyle one were. Now, here's your little white book. And it's nice. You have your card. You have the message on the card, and then it talks about, you know, full moon in Cancer, attuned to the moon, additional meanings for this card, the teaching, and that's on each card. So you can really use this as a true oracle deck, or you can use this to map out the different moon cycles, where the moon is in the sky, you know, southern node, northern node. Yeah, I don't know. It's really cool. Now this is where I'm about to show you the mess that I made. So I edged mine in silver, and it was my first time edging with a stamp pad, and I didn't realize how messy that was, and it did not go well. So mine is a little boho, not boho. Mine's like a little shabby chic, because we've got, oh, of course I'm trying to show you, and like there's not really, we've got some like spillage on my edges, because I don't know, I did not know what I was doing. So there's that. You can see like it's a mess, but I did that. It's fine. I'll live with it. So the cards themselves are really beautiful. And again, you can kind of utilize this however you want. You could use it just as an oracle deck if you wanted. I really like to take it, see, this was me. So bad. I like to take it out, and you know, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen like my full moon spreads. I'll pull out where the moon is. I'll pull out, you know, if it's a full moon in Pisces, we'll pull that out and we'll kind of stack them and make a cohesive message. So you do have, you know, the full moons, you have the moon phases with different messages. You have the new moons as well. And then, you know, void of course moon. There's waning moon. Does that say waning? Yes, waning. I'm trying to see through my camera. New moon in Scorpio. So you have the new moons. You have mutable moon. I know you have like super moon is in here. So I like to kind of make like a little tableau, like a little spread with like where the moon is, what the moon's doing. Again, I like to include the nodes in there. And the message is usually really cohesive and beautiful. And I just love working with lunar energy. It's kind of my favorite. So that is the Moonology Oracle card deck. I don't know why I said Oracle card deck, but you know what I mean. I was reading the box, that's why. So yeah, it's really fun. You can kind of utilize it a bunch of different ways. Even if you wanted to just pull out cards and put them on your altar for the different moon phases, that's another great idea. So I am running out of time. I'm just going to pull out one more. let's go with a more seasonal one, shall we? This is the Halloween Oracle by Stacy DeMarco. Oh, I'm sorry, the Moonology cards, I forgot to say who those were by. Yasmin Boland, and the artwork is by Nyx Rowan. What a cool name. So this is Stacy DeMarco. Does it have... I don't see the artist, but this is from Blue Angel Publishing. Again, this is another pretty popular one that most people have seen. Here's your little white book. You get the card name. You get a fun little write-up here, and then you get the description. So you have the name and a keyword, which also matches the name and keyword on the cards. I have edged mine in black, and here's the backings. And it's funny because I think the backings are really cutesy, whereas the actual card artwork is gorgeous. So it was a strange choice. I don't hate it, but it is, you know, kind of surprising when you see these cutesy backs and then you turn them over and you have these beautiful cards. And again, this is a deck that I don't pull out often enough because it's the Halloween Oracle. I get stuck in that thought of it needs to be pulled out for Halloween, it needs to be pulled out for Samhain. But it does read really, really well. I really enjoy this deck. I think it has, again, some really nicely balanced messages, like ancestors, the love and legacy of our DNA is not necessarily a Halloween thing. You know, it could be a Dia de los Muertos thing, but I think it's just a beautiful card all the way around. And again, vampire, emotional intelligence is not necessarily a Halloween thing. So you could really, here's the winter card, you could really pull this out whenever. You didn't have to use it for just Halloween time, just Samhain. I feel like if you wanted to pull this out year round, you could. It's not like that hokey, everything is Halloween. There's some deep stuff, like the lamp, remember. Oh, nope, sorry, remembrance. Sorry, trying to read through the computer. Oh my gosh, you guys, I need some remembrance. But yeah, that is the Halloween Oracle. It's beautiful. It's just, I don't know. This is one of my favorites. I think this was another Oracle deck that I got really early on in my tarot journey because I love Halloween and all things Halloween and all things spooky. And when I saw this, I was like, I don't know anything about that, but I need it. So there is that. All right. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thanks for joining me. Again, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you next week for part 3 of our Oracle deck collection videos. Bye.